What's up, Earth Rockers? It's your boy Shovatar, here with a video that's very special, because I just collected this footage about 2 days ago. Um, when... So originally, in this, like, whole, like, series of videos that I'm doing, where I go back, again, to, like, games that I played before, and kind of give them another shot, my plan originally was just to do 2 deathless expert mode runs in Bloodlines, and then leave it at that. But after I uploaded my first Bloodlines video, I just kind of started thinking about Castlevania Bloodlines again, and I was like, I've been like no damaging stuff lately. Like, what if I just tried to no damage Bloodlines? And then my rational brain kicked in. I was like, Shovatar, Bloodlines is a hard fucking game. Even if you don't play it on expert mode, there's still like a million different like little things that can go wrong in that game. It's the thing about Bloodlines is Bloodlines is a very like execution heavy game, where one of the things that I said in Dracula's Curse is that Dracula's Curse is a lot about strategy and a lot about like weapon selection. And really, like, if you're making the correct decisions, it's pretty hard to mess up the execution in Dracula's Curse, in my opinion anyway. Bloodlines is not like that. Bloodlines is very much like an action game and an execution game. And that means trying to no damage something like that, is really hard. Because any mistake on your part... This boss fight, by the way, he was like really nice to me there. This boss can fuck you, because what can happen sometimes is he has 2 attacks where he'll either breathe fire or he'll howl. If he howls, it like shatters the windows and the glass rains down. And you can get put in a position where, like, if you move back, you're gonna run into glass that's hitting the ground, and then if you go forward, you're gonna run into him. So I reset a couple times there. Level 1 in general was actually like a huge reset area, but mostly because of the boss. I'll talk about that later. But to get back to like sort of explaining this video, I decided that I did want to do a no-hit, but I wanted to give myself some kind of break. And the break that I decided to give myself was to play the Japanese version, which I'd always heard was easier than the US version, but I never, like, actually tried. It is easier. It's substantially easier than the US version, which is the only reason I even attempted to do this on such, like, relatively short notice. Basically, the Japanese version has a couple of differences in terms of, like, the bats are slower and less evasive. There's a couple of important... There's a very important room in level 4 that has Medusa heads in it in the US version, but does not in the Japanese version. And a lot of the bosses and the mini-bosses that Bloodlines is enamored with have less health in the Japanese version. I noticed that almost immediately. So, easier version of the game, but all the same, this was still pretty hard. Not to like praise myself too much, but I was actually surprised at like how quickly I got this. I think it's because like I've just gotten I played the game a lot before, and like it was still kind of fresh in my mind, and I kind of knew what parts of the run would be problem areas. So those are the areas that I made sure to like practice the most, and ultimately I actually, the first time that I got past level 5, I got the whole run. So, because I practiced level 6, like insanely, like pathologically I practiced level 6, and that practice paid off. Anyway, so the reason level 1 was such a big reset point is because the boss of level 1 here, this guy, is like just the biggest fucking dickhead on the planet. Like, this guy just does whatever the fuck he wants, every fight. And really, like, the best strat that I found for killing him, not even a strat, just like try to kill him as fast as you can. Just constantly try to be doing damage to him, stay in his face, keep hitting him. This is good because when you break off pieces of his body, it'll interrupt any animation he's in the middle of doing, which will stop him from finishing an attack if he's about to do an attack. But it's also just good because you just kill him faster, and like, the faster he dies, the faster he, the less chance he has to just do some random bullshit that hits you. Like, the fight is just an RNG shitfest, and he'll just, like, run at you. And I would say probably less than half of the attempts that I did made it past the boss. So, that was, like... It's like, having any kind of, filter or like, choke point in a run like that, where, like, you literally lose half your runs to, like, random shit, that's bad, but, like, it's only, like, 4.5 minutes in, so that's a much better place to put something like that, then, like, that's pretty much the best place I could expect to see that. So between the Cerberus, the dog mini-boss sometimes fucking me up, and then the armor battler just, like, doing literally whatever the fuck he wants, the whole time, I never... I was resetting a lot on level 1, but that kind of made it all the more imperative that I had the rest of the run figured out smoothly, because I had to make sure that every run that got past the first level, counted and was like, I wanted to max. I mean, you would always want to maximize your chances of success, but it was especially important here because, you know, a reset is no longer like just a reset and then, you know, another, you know, 10 minutes to get to level 3 or whatever. It's a reset and then however many fucking attempts it's going to take for me to get past level 1 and then on to the rest. Anyway, so yeah, I was just kind of like possessed by a desire to play this game again, and I figured if I'm ever gonna no-hit Bloodlines, like, now is the time I'm gonna do it, when I'm still, like, this deep in the series. And I'm very glad I did, because this game is so good, and the JP version, like, is honestly more fun to play. And mostly it comes down to the fact that the bosses have... I don't really like Medusa heads. I mean, I don't think any Castlevania player likes Medusa heads. I understand them as a necessary evil in some cases, but I don't like them. But really the thing that made the game more fun was the fact that boss's health was nerfed. I want to explain that pause. So this guy was another spot that, like, kept on fucking me up in attempts, and it's because when he does that jump, like, you have a very limited window of time to both, like, figure out where he's going and then make a decision about where you're going to go to avoid him and then carry that out correctly. So what I did is whenever he jumped, I would just pause and, like, take as much time as I needed to decide what I was going to do when I unpaused. So that's what that was, and that was really good. Once I started implementing that, I never lost a run to that guy again. That's kind of exactly what happened to me in my Dawn of Sorrow videos with the boss, the Paranoia boss. It's a boss that kind of does a similar thing, where basically he makes you, like, you have to do, like, make positioning decisions, like, very, very quickly. But when you have a freeze the game button that lets you look at what an enemy is doing and make a decision, then unpause and immediately carry out that decision, that makes it a lot easier. Anyway, I want to talk about this auto-scroller, because this auto-scroller I lost a couple of attempts to. Really what I decided is, like, am I going to hit the Medusa head on its, like, first pass through the middle or its second pass through the middle? That was very close. I actually should have gone one more raft over to the right. And basically, if I'm on these middle rafts, then I'm going to try to hit it on its first pass through the middle. If I'm on, like, a raft that's far left or far right, I'm going to try to hit him on his second, like, pass through the middle. So once I had that plan in mind, like, I know when I'm going to hit him, that made it a lot smoother, because I just always... I had a plan, I knew, like, I'm waiting for him to be here, I know that I can hit him safely when he's at this point in his pattern, when I'm at this... I'm on this platform, so that just worked out. I want to say I lost one run here, but it was, like, a very strange one. I just kind of, like... I just, like, didn't kill one of those armor guys when I expected them to. The thing about the Bloodlines no damage that made it seem feasible to me, especially once I learned, like, how much easier the JP version was that, like, using the super attack, but no damaging, like, no hit means you have the lightning whip full time, which was always something that, like, I thought would be cool about a Bloodlines no damage, would be to have the lightning whip full time, have access to, like, the magic super attack full time, and be able to, like, make strategic decisions about how you spend your crystals, like turning crystals into a interesting resource to manage, where it's like, where do you spend them to solve certain problems, what do you save them up for, that kind of thing. That just seemed like it would be really interesting to do, and that was another big factor in driving me to do this. Yeah, this guy killed me once. I don't remember how or why. You're generally going to see me use the Lightning Whip magic spell whenever I come across, like, these turrets, just because I'm just bad at, like, dealing with them. I can't really explain it any other way. They have a bad... I'm just not good at, like, timing my whip swings to intercept the fireballs that they shoot. And when there's, like, towers of them like that, then anything can go wrong. That was not what I meant to do. Very awkward. This boss is another reason why I was worried about trying to no-hit Bloodlines, because this guy can do an attack where he'll summon rocks from the sky that rain down on you. But as you might notice if you've played Bloodlines, this guy is a lot shorter in the JP version than he is in the US version. So there's fewer like body segments you can tear through before you can start like burning down his head. And also I was deliberately saving up lightning spell usages for this boss. Like, this is kind of exactly the kind of thing that made this seem viable to me, where it's like, here are these problem areas in the run that I know are going to be problem areas, but if I'm never getting hit the whole run, and if I can plan for that, and if I can save up my crystals for those specific moments, then that should smooth it out. And I want to say, I don't remember if I ever lost a run to that guy. I might have, but I don't recall. I feel like I would remember if I did. I bet I lost at least one, I don't know. I know I just said I collected this 2 days ago, but like, when you're doing a bunch of attempts, it kind of like, it kind of becomes a blur. So here's level 3. This is my least favorite level in the game. In a couple ways, it's actually not like the most annoying to navigate. I really don't like the music for it though. The music in Bloodlines has kind of grown on me, but this is a dud in my opinion. As you might guess, what makes this level hard in the context of a no-hit run is dealing with the harpies. Especially when they do that, like when instead of taking 2 whips to kill, they'll randomly get decapitated on the second whip and take a 3rd whip to kill. That's not fun. But this is another situation where I was like saving up lightning for the golem, and then I was saving up lightning for the harpies, and that's kind of how I started to think of lightning magic usages. Is like every 8 crystals I get, every 8 crystals I don't spend on something else is another 8 crystals I can spend to just kill harpies, which is exactly what you just saw. You noticed I killed one earlier that I actually like didn't really... I killed one earlier towards the start of the level that I didn't really plan to kill with a lightning spell, but it was like, it just wasn't getting hit by me, so that's what I did. And because of my decision to do that, to like save up lightning usages specifically to deal with the harpies because I knew they'd be such a problem, I actually never lost a run to level 3. Every time I got to level 3, I got through level 3, which is really cool. And it's kind of like... It's exactly what I was hoping would be the result of, like, strategic use of lightning balls, is smoothing out what would otherwise be, like, other choke points, other big problem areas. I meant to get those 5 crystals, but they got away from me. It's crazy how, like, even Bloodlines' like, auto-scrollers are kind of, like, fast-paced and kind of, like, engaging. Like, I never lost a run here, but, like, this always does... Just like that, it's simply throwing Medusa heads at you, kind of still makes you feel like you're doing something, even though it's an auto-scroller. And that's kind of what like the downwards auto-scroller in level 2 does by throwing Medusa heads at you, is like, it constantly makes you think about your position and plan out like where you're going to be at set intervals. So even though the screen is scrolling at a constant rate, you still feel like you're constantly like, you still feel like you're playing a game. It doesn't feel like you're waiting in the level 2 auto-scroller. I would not say the same thing about the first auto-scroller in level 2. The upwards auto-scroller is a bit of a snooze fest, but the bottom, the downward auto-scroller is well designed. And that's an example of like a good use of Medusa heads, where they take something that would otherwise be pretty boring, and they make it into more of like a real engaging challenge. There's a place in level 4, I guess I'll have to wait to point it out. Well, I don't have to wait, but I'm going to wait because that just makes more sense. And yeah, oh yeah, I ditched the lightning magic for the axe here because I want to use the axe on the boss, and also because I wanted to use the axe for the mummy back there. But there's an axe right before the level 3 boss, and the way that the special subweapon works for the lightning whip is that if you have a subweapon and you pick up the same subweapon again, it gives you your magic spell back. So if you know what the subweapon availability is for whatever subweapon you're using, which would probably be the axe, I never really found any reason to use any other subweapons, then you know you can like plan out when to swap back to the magic and when to swap to the axe if you need it. Or the boomerang if you want to use the boomerang, or the holy water, although I don't know what you'd want to. These gargoyles move so much like differently in the US version. In the US version, they kind of like fly up over your head, so what I do in the US version is I throw the axe to hit them in mid-air, which is why collecting a subweapon that's not the axe in the US version of the game can be really difficult. The axe or the boomerang will take care of the gargoyles in the US version. Here, I could get that holy water and it didn't matter at all. Giving me that axe actually fucked me up, because my my thought process was, because there's an axe here in that candle there, and then there's another axe at the start of level 4. And I actually want the axe for the start of level 4. But for reasons... there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna have to wait till we get there. So this boss, is pretty scary, and I actually consider it to be something of a miracle that it never killed me. These first 2 phases are fine, because if you have the lightning whip, you can kill him before he even, like, does anything remotely threatening. You can actually kill him even faster than that if you're really good at the game, but that's kind of the compromise that I made. This part right here is when he gets super scary, because as you can see, like, your position is constantly being fucked with, and I kind of only barely avoided his second, dive, but that part was just like, I don't know, I didn't really ever, like, formally come up with a strategy for that. I just kind of, like, knew how that phase generally went, and, like, knew how it felt to play it, and, like, knew generally, like, where to go, and how to, like, juke him. So that part just kind of, like, worked out, and that's a bad idea, because, like, usually if you're doing a no-damage run or a no-death run or any kind of challenge run, you should never, like, wing things. You should never have, like... Everything should be planned out. You should have, like... You should know exactly what you're gonna do all the time, because, things that are, like, uncertain or inconsistent are the things that fuck you in challenge runs. If you're like, I don't really know what's gonna happen here, it's usually okay, that's the part that you're gonna fail on, and that's gonna become a huge problem when you actually start recording runs. This is what I've learned from a lot of experience. Anyway, yeah, so I actually wanted an axe for this first part here to deal with these guys, but they ended up moving into positions that made the axe not useful, which is unusual. I wasn't expecting that skeleton to jump off to the left. I don't really know why he did that. I think it's because I took too long getting the gem from the candle. That was fucking close. I don't know what I was thinking there. I really should have waited for him to finish that flail. I guess I was just impatient. But what's nice is that there's another bone-throwing skeleton up here that I want to kill with a sub-weapon. Doing it with the axe just costs like fewer hearts than it would take to kill him with the lightning magic. Unless I could do it with one. I don't know if one lightning magic would kill him. I think I might need 2, because he gets like... He gets disabled, then he comes back up again, so I think I still saved some hearts there. And anyway, I want the axe for this next part anyway, which I know is cheaper than what the lightning spell would accomplish. Not this part. This part, there are no enemies on normal mode. There are only enemies here in expert mode, US version, I think. I actually don't know anything about JP expert. I just know that I just know US expert and JP normal. So in this room, in the US version, there are Medusa heads. And that's kind of, like, when I learned that this room didn't have those Medusa heads in the JP version, that's kind of what, like, cinched my decision to do the no-hit, no-hit, like, at all, because I knew, whenever I, like, played with the idea of, like, Bloodlines no-hit in my head, I always thought of this room as a huge problem area, because it's hard to deal with, like, these positions, these, like, platforms that are fucking with your position, and, like, climbing these stairs, and, like, constantly having to ascend, and then also dealing with Medusa heads at the same time, because, like, I don't know, it's not as simple as it is in the down auto-scroller in level 2, where it's just, like, you're in the middle, or you're over to the left, or over to the right. It's like you're constantly going up, and it's more of an issue. But then when I learned that they weren't there in the JP version, I was like, okay, alright, I'll give it a shot. And then I quickly realized that the no-hit would be feasible. Not easy, but definitely feasible. Here's my buddy Frankenstein. He dies way fucking faster in the JP version than the US version. Look at that shit. That's fucking crazy. This is probably my least favorite part of Castlevania Bloodlines, is this part with the rotating blades. I did lose a run here, a run or two. Not to this one, but to one of the later ones. This was a really good use of the lightning. I'm very happy with that. I swear to God, this thing is faster than it is in the US version. It seems like it's faster, and I fucking barely clear it. That was what was happening during some of the later runs. Like, I was getting, like, rattled about this part, so I didn't really do it smoothly. I lost a run or two. I think I lost 2 runs to, like, standing up too early to this thing, which I learned from. And so that means that I'm playing this part, like, extra cautiously, but that's because I got punished for not doing that before. Yeah, level 4 definitely is like, it's crazy. Level 4, it's crazy how much easier level 4 is on like normal than expert mode. Like expert mode makes level 4 so much fucking harder. It's also crazy like how, I don't know, this just, like, this part right here, I remember this part just, like, totally mystifying me when I first played this game almost a year ago, but, like, it's crazy how if you play, like, nothing but Castlevania games for a year, you get better at them. Amazing. Absolutely breathtaking. Okay, so this boss coming up here, is pretty easy if you come in with a lightning whip. This is, like, the thing that I noticed about no-hitting Bloodlines, is that, like, doing a no-hit means you have a lightning whip all the time, which makes a lot of things easier. And plus I don't have to worry about, like, oh, do I get in with the lightning whip, or do I not get in with the lightning whip, which is something that I would have to think about when I was doing my deathless runs. Instead, it's like, no, you have the lightning whip, so you can plan every boss fight around that fact. Which was very, very nice. What's crazy is this run is like 40, this run is what, 41 minutes long, and I just finished level 4, but we're only 20 minutes in. That's actually insane. It's crazy how long level 6 is. But I guess I'll wait until I get to level 6 to talk about that. So you may have noticed that I'm holding onto a gigantic stockpile of crystals. All throughout level 4 pretty much. Level 5 is when I'm really gonna start using these fuckers. Like, there's a reason I've been hoarding them this whole time. Here, I specifically wait until the spores wear off so that way I don't accidentally pick up the axe. I did lose a run to that. Because, like, my whole strategy for this next part, and also for, like, the chandelier hallway afterward, involves using the lightning spells. There were certain obstacles that I just wasn't ready to, like, I hadn't practiced without the lightning spell, so when I accidentally picked up the axe, it ended up fucking me. Yeah, as you can see, 4 usages right there to deal with the monkeys, and then there's going to be another one here. But the thing is that level 5 is pretty generous with gems. Like, this whole, like, chandelier hallway is just kind of like crystals after crystals after crystals. I think I finished, like, explaining everything about, like, this run and about, like, why it exists. Yeah, that thing is pretty scary. You can kill that thing with an axe. If you do, like, the axe special, it'll, like, rack up a bunch of damage and kill it. This is the part that I fucked up. Because it's just, like, I think I just kind of got impatient. Yeah, what I do is I use 3 lightning casts there, just to clear them all out. Like, because the thing is that, like, it's not, like, that hard to just get a bunch of gems in Bloodlines, so, and, like, when I was doing practice runs initially, I would, like, end the run with more than I needed, so I was always on the lookout for, that was really close. If that bomb had rolled off the edge of that platform, I think it would have fallen down next to me and hit me. That happened to me a couple times. It never happened to me in a real run, but when I was practicing the level, that happened a couple times, and that was just the kind of thing where it's like, I don't really know what the solution to that would be. I'm just gonna hope that it doesn't fuck me up, which is, like, a bad decision to make, but it ultimately did not ever fuck me up, so it worked out. This whole thing was, like, very fortuitous, honestly. That I got it on, like, a really short time frame, and that like, I didn't lose that many runs. I mostly just lost runs to the fucking armor battler at level 1. Like, that was the most frequent obstacle. Level 4 was mostly really smooth. Level 3 was really smooth, which I was shocked by, mostly just because I was really, like, generous using lightning. And then level 5 was kind of the last problem area, because I honestly just hadn't practiced it enough. Like, there were certain things that I just hadn't ironed out that I should have. One of them which is going to come up in a moment here, actually. These archers. Yeah, I lost a run to these archers because I kind of expected lightning to intercept some of their arrows, but then when that like didn't happen and I got hit. I remember that really vividly, because it was like I was really far and I was really excited. Just being more patient with that and like kind of respecting their attacks more ended up being the solution. Using lightning to burn one of them down really fast and then just like fighting the second one normally, just baiting his shots out far and then getting in close. This guy I practiced a lot before I found out what my favorite strat was, and it's more abuse of the lightning spell pretty much. This is like what made this doable. Number one, I'm playing on the JP version, and number two, I'm just like abusing the shit out of the lightning casts. I like don't have to fight this mid-boss at all. I can just immediately burn down all of his projectiles, which I want to point out, he's only shooting out one at a time. In the US version, he shoots out two, and then on US Expert mode, he shoots out three. So, excuse me, pretty crazy. Even though I was happy to abuse the lightning orbs, or the lightning spell, I really only wanted to use 3 on this guy. So at the very end of there, I knew that killing him would get rid of all his projectiles, so I just walked over and finished it off like that. Now we're getting to the level 5 boss, which I have to admit is not my favorite. I really don't like fighting this guy. And this is the latest in the run that I ever lost a run. Because this guy just sometimes moves in ways that I don't expect him to. For the beginning of the fight is very simple, because she doesn't move around very much. You kind of just bully her in the corner, and then after she transforms, you like bully her in the corner some more. But then when she starts doing spores, you can like bully her a few more times. It's after the spore attack is over that like I kind of get nervous because like the charge attack. I think I could probably kill it before it ever got the charge attack off, honestly, if I just like kept bullying it in the corner up there. But I was just like nervous about doing it because like this is a no-hit and this is super late in the run. I was just always too scared to do that. I would have been much happier. I discovered that I was much happier just like waiting for the charge to happen and then interrupting the charge with an axe throw. And then like finishing it off from there. That seemed to work out a lot better, and that was kind of the last kink or like the last complication in the run that I needed to iron out before I could get through to level 6. And then once I got to level 6, like I said, miraculously, although it's not really a miracle because I practiced level 6 like incredible, like so much. The first time I got here, I got it all the way, which I'm so happy about. We're only 27 minutes in. Is this how I want to see what the timestamp is when I actually kill Dracula? Because I want to know how long this run actually is, because the credits go on for a while, and I want to see how long the run is and how much of the run is just level 6. Because that's like what's insane about Bloodlines is how oh yeah, I wait for a second here because I practiced this part on a specific timing where like I throw the axe on that platform, then I go and I catch the mirror to kill the last Medusa head and then get out of the room before the next one spawns. And just because that's how I practiced it, I just waited there to make sure that it played out exactly the way that I expected it to. And here I think I do exactly what I wanted. Yeah, I want to say there's fewer orbs here than there are in the US version. I want to say the US version normal mode, there's more orbs, and then expert mode there's even more orbs. And I was very grateful to see that too, because that's actually my least favorite stage of the entire game. Because the upside down shit kind of makes me nauseous, and because it's like just really easy to misjudge your positioning and like panic there if you're not careful. Which again, I'm shocked I didn't do. Like my fucking heart rate at the end of this run was like through the fucking roof. So here I start burning the last of my crystals. I do a thing that I've done before here, where I'll basically when I hear them coming, I'll sub-weapon in front of me, and then immediately turn around and whip. And I do it before I even know what's going on. I always do that. I don't leave it up to like visual reaction time at all. I just take the early warning of the robot sounds, and then I take advantage of it. So if you ever see me like turn around and whip at nothing, which I think I did once back there, that's why. It's because I'm just going purely off of muscle memory, and so I'm not like... So it's not about my judgment. I just react the same way every time and always cover all my bases and cover any possible eventuality. Like if it doesn't come from behind me, then all I did was whip at nothing. If it does come from behind me, then I don't fucking lose the run at the very end. So I actually did this in a strategic order, where I decided that I was going to do the golem first, because that way, if I did die to his stupid rocks falling attack, then at least it would happen as early as possible and I could just reset the run and get back to it, but it never ended up happening, because, he just died. And I think I ended up using... I was prepared to use 3 lightning orbs there, but he didn't... I don't know, the lightning orbs just were, like, super efficient. They just, like, got him down really low really early, and then he kind of just, like, walked right into my range, and didn't give me a choice but to whip him. I think if he had been sitting over at the edge of the screen, I might have just spammed more lightning orbs to kill him, but he kind of forced my hand, and it ended up working out, and I used 2 lightning casts when I meant to use 3. Which isn't super relevant. I ended this run with a lot more hearts than I need, and I pretty much stopped collecting crystals after this death fight. But whatever. It could have been important, actually. Which I'll talk about later. What I mean by that. This guy is just an easier version of the gargoyle from the tower. No difference in strat, really. I don't really like how close that whip was on him. I wish I was a little bit further away, but maybe that's just how it works out. And I don't care in what order I do the rest of these cards. It just so happened that I went right to the Gear Golem, but I don't consider... I consider this guy to be about as big of a threat as the card that gives you a bunch of food, because, like, going to this guy with his nerfed health with the Lightning Whip means you're basically never in danger. Because it goes right from, like, you skip any, like, awkward, like, crouching to intercept his charge, it just goes right from one to the other, and then my planet needs me. I watched a speedrun and I saw a guy do that, and I was like, I have to try that. And it turns out it's pretty easy to do, actually. If you didn't see what I did, go back and watch it again. Yeah, like I said, the gear golem fight here is about as threatening as that attack, or is about as threatening as one of these, like, pork chops. But the death fight itself is scary as shit, and this was like a moment where I decided to, like, this is another moment where, like, the fact that it was a no-hit, like, counterintuitively made it easier, because I knew I could plan to go in with the Lightning Whip, and with the Lightning Orb spell, and with a bunch of, like, crystals, like, stocked up. So whenever he summoned his little projectiles, I could just summon a Lightning Orb to kill them, and then, like, guarantee damage, and not have to worry about, like, trying to time the jump to whip him when he's, like, on the low point of his movement, but, like, not fucking up the timing and jumping too early and accidentally, like, bonking the underside of him. I was just like, fuck all of that, I don't care, I'm just gonna spam Lightning Orbs and kill him. So that's what I did. And so now I have more hearts, even though my plan basically is to only kill this bitch with the whip. I do still hold on to the Lightning Orb just in case something goes wrong during Phase 2, which I'll explain when we get to Phase 2. I want to talk about this right here. That tail attack. Oh my god. I fuck up the jump to dodge that tail attack so much, and I cannot express in words how happy I am that I didn't fuck it up here. Like, I was so ready to fuck that up at least once when I was collecting this footage. Like, the fact that this level 6 went as well as it did is, like I said before, it's actually a fucking miracle. Like, on the one hand, yes, I practiced a lot for it, but on the other hand, like, this game is so execution-focused. Like, you can practice all you want and you can still fuck up, so, like, the fact that I didn't do that is just, like, fucking mind-blowing to me. That's like the tagline for this video. I can't believe I didn't fuck up. Because the timing for jumping over her tail is, like, really specific. Because she'll, like, start moving it a long time before it actually, like, whips out and hits you. So you have to wait until it's, like, right as it's moving towards you to jump over it. It's so scary. And I would, like, pretty much always jump too early. Which is similar to a problem that I have on the Dracula fight, but I'll talk about when I get to it. So, what I was talking about before with Phase 2 of the fight is, like, my plan is, like, if I miss a whip on her, then my plan is to use a Lightning Orb to kind of, like, make up for it. The way that this works is that she'll teleport, on whichever side is, like, further away from you. So if you're almost in the middle, but you're very slightly off to the left or very slightly off to the right, she'll teleport opposite you, and because But you know that she's gonna do that if you know like you're slightly off to the left or slightly off to the right, so you can anticipate her movements and just be ready to jump and whip her every single time, and it's not an issue. And also, getting to this fight with a lightning whip is so gratifying because it means it's over faster. Because fighting her, that's like that's like probably my least favorite boss in Bloodlines, is that bitch. Just because it's the same thing, it's literally the same thing, what, 19 times? You just jump back and forth 19 times to whip her. More than that if you don't have the lightning whip. It's like 23 on Eric with the super spear, and then more than that in the US version, I think. I think her health is nerfed in JP. Anyway, Dracula fight. Scary motherfucker. I was also certain I was gonna fuck up here. I jump as soon as I see him. As soon as I literally see his purple body, as soon as the light disappears and I see his body, I jump and I whip. And that, if I get the timing right, that intercepts whatever fireballs he's shooting at me, but then, just in case, and then I also duck after I land, just in case I didn't quite catch the last fireball, which has happened before, but like, because I was up in the air, he's like still aiming upwards, so if you don't intercept the fireball, then you can still like duck under it if it's like, and it'll like barely pass above you. So that's my strat for phase 1, is just basically get the timing down and don't fuck up. Here I'm playing super scared. My hope here was to get one of the two fireballs to move across the screen at high altitude and then just jump over the second one, but what actually ended up happening was I destroyed one of the two orbs with that upwards diagonal whip, which was so lucky. That was so fortunate. That was like, I wanted to do one thing, and like the even better thing happened. So that was really good. This is pretty standard. I jump, I whip, and then I walk back towards the middle, and then duck, and if you duck in the middle of the room when he's over on the far side of it, you'll be between the second and third projectiles and you'll never get hit. This is the other thing that I would fuck up on this guy more than anything else. Was this fire plume. I just had a tendency to jump too early and land right on top of it. But because I knew that was my tendency, like I said to myself, Shovitar, you've never jumped over that fire too late. So just like remember that you have more time than you think you do and you'll be okay. And this looks insane. This looks like I barely squeeze out from under him and dodge all the bones. But the thing is, I think those bones don't actually do damage. I think that's like, either it's like an evil trick from the developers or like a glitch or something, but I'm pretty sure that last wave of bones he throws out actually doesn't do any damage. Because if you think about it, if it did do damage, then you'd just be like stuck in the corner and he'd just land on top of you, right? So I think I actually played that wrong at the very end, by respecting those bones, but I still managed to like barely squeeze out at the last second between him and the bones anyway, whether they would have hurt me or not, and hit him. So I almost choked at like the finish line, which would have been fucking heartbreaking. But it all worked out, man. It all worked out. Because the thing is that sometimes I could kill him before he ever got to that point. Like, if I can, like, squeeze in extra lightning whip swings, that was, like, my plan, pretty much. I didn't do as much damage to him during the first jumps as I wanted to. So that was, like, kind of an improvisation that I had to do. That wasn't, like, the plan exactly, but it still miraculously worked out, and this is fucking ridiculous that this exists. I don't want to sound too, like, self-congratulatory or anything, but, like, oh my god, I'm so happy I did this, because this was like, it was like a whim. It was like, shit, I bet I should at least try doing this, and then I tried doing it, and I'm like, this seems like it's doable, and then it just, ugh, man, I was so fucking happy. So, big thanks to the lightning orb, definitely making this possible, kind of cleaning up so many different things that would have fucked me up otherwise, and definitely much better to do this in the Japanese version. Fewer Medusa heads, slower bats, and the bosses having low health just means it's faster to get back to where you were before if you mess up a run. The bosses don't take as long to kill. I fucking love Castlevania Bloodlines, man. I fucking love this game so much. Like, the more I play it, the more the things about it that used to bother me, like, really don't bother me anymore. Because one thing that I said about Bloodlines is, like, the sub-weapon balance is kind of fucked. Like, the axe is, like, always the best choice, pretty much. so I didn't feel like I was ever making impactful decisions, but playing it like this, like no-hitting the game, actually does reintroduce that, because then it becomes like, when do I use the orb, when do I not use the orb, like when do I save up my crystals, when do I use my crystals, like this, it like creates strategic decisions that you have to make. So this was actually like really fun. I think it would be probably be a lot less fun in my memory if I had fucked up on level 6 and I had to like crawl all the way back there. And the armor battler is a giant pile of shit, like no question about it. Trying to do a no-hit run of Bloodlines with that fucker in the game is just like, oh my fucking god. It's so awful. But if you clean up the rest of the run and you make damn sure that every run that gets past the armor battler you can take advantage of, then it's plenty of fun. But that's like the one little like question mark, I would say, is the armor battler. There's not that much RNG throughout the rest of it. The golem is the golem. Sometimes he can just fuck you, but I was lucky enough to avoid it. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Keep on earth rocking. Believe it or not, I've actually got one more Bloodlines video ready for you. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and hang in there.